Welcome to Moments with Marianne. I'm so delighted we're spending this time here today. We have a very inspiring show coming right up with special guest Alethea Black, and she's here today to share with us her new book, You've Been So Lucky Already, a memoir. Now, Alethea was born in Boston and graduated from Harvard. Her father was a mathematician, and for a long time she believed that her name, which is the Greek word for truth, was his way of tipping his cap to the idea of absolutes. Alethea's first book, which is a short story collection titled I Knew You'd Be Lovely, was a bestseller, and she is a 3-time Moth Story Slam champion. So let's welcome to the show Alethea Black.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, what a pleasure it is to have you here. I mean, your book, it just touches my heart. My goodness, there are times where I didn't have enough tissues, and it's just such a real, raw look into your life, and I just so appreciate you writing this book.
Oh, thank you. It has a lot of emotion in it. It's true.
It really does. And, I love how you really dived into, sharing your relationship with your father. When you decided to write this book, what really inspired you to write it? What was something that was driving you? Was it, that just having that deep relationship with your dad? Was it just going through everything you did and having the beautiful, positive outlook that you do?
Oh, well, I think that the immediate prompt was the illness mystery. So that lent itself so naturally to storytelling because it was sort of a medical mystery that I'm trying to solve myself and, trying these various therapies and the comedy that came out of that, but then also the very real suffering. And I was connecting with so many other people who were in similar situations where they were having symptoms and there didn't seem to be an easy box to check. So the doorway in was through the illness and the medical mystery, but as anyone who's gotten sick can tell you, that lends itself to thinking back about your life. Could anything have contributed to this? Could anything have helped to cause it? And then it was almost as if I worked backwards, starting with the medical stuff and then wound up thinking back to my dad, who he himself had died quite young of cancer at age 57 and 95. So his death was coming up, but then also all of the sweetness of being in high school and when he was my best friend and all of his quirky math aspects of his personality. So I think those were the twin poles, really, was my dad and then getting sick.
Yeah, kind of bringing that all together. Well, it's interesting because when we do talk about illness and getting sick, there are so many people that can resonate with your story, with what's going on. They go to the doctor, they take all these tests, and they come back and say you're perfectly healthy, but that you're not feeling the way you should, and something. Was it taking you a time just to kind of get these doctors to even listen to you when that happened?
Well, I think that there's a tendency nowadays to maybe not listen to your own body as much, but to defer to the test results or the person in the white coat. And I found that my body was speaking so clearly and so loudly that I was unable to sit down and behave, if you will. And I just wasn't going to take their version of, you're fine, or maybe this is all in your head, or maybe you should just try some antidepressants, because I knew at a very deep visceral level that there was something physically wrong. And that is the thing that I think saved me, was trusting that and not listening to, it got to the point where they could have had 1,000 doctors line up and each of them approach me and say, "You're fine," in turn. And I was not going to believe their version of events. I knew that something was seriously wrong, and I stuck to it.
That's so important, and what a powerful message. Because a lot of times people think that, hey, doctors are the authority, and I should listen to this guy, even though they know deep down that things are off and they're not feeling like they should.
Absolutely, and I think all too often as well, we accept the narrative of, oh, well, I'm 40 now, so I should be tired all the time, or my vision should be suddenly failing, or even to the degree of people saying, I said, I used to have so much joy, and I can't feel that anymore. It's like I've lost an aspect of my personality. I've lost my access to joy. And they say, well, you're getting older and you've had more life experiences and maybe the world is wearing you down and it wears us all down. And look at us. We don't have as much joy anymore either. So what's the problem? But
oh my gosh.
I said, no, it's almost like it's almost an electricity. I've lost the current. I've lost my access to an electrical current that I used to have, and it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like this should be the natural course of events. And I don't believe that just because I'm 40 now, I don't deserve joy anymore. That doesn't, I'm not buying that narrative about life. And so I think that was a big part of it too.
Well, and how important it is to be able to, to make those choices for yourself, that happiness is okay. You should expect to be happy at every point in your life, not just, from, birth to 20 or 30 and then forget it after that,
Yeah.
Oh, it's done.
True.
Well, and you in your book you talk about a few things. You share this chapter about your dad and his passing, and I just love the relationship that the two of you had in that. And you also share about meeting a great man. And I'd love for you to share with our listeners the nickname you have for him.
Oh, I called him Dado. He called me Kiddo, so I called him Dado.
Mhm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and, it's so sweet to see that relationship, between the two of you. And then later on, you have a boyfriend who's a writer as well, that comes into the picture. And, you called him the last of the last great men, which is kind of funny because you have these great, just these great nicknames for your boyfriend and other people throughout the book.
Well, I think that part of what prepared me for listening to my inner voice when I got sick was my dad was such an iconoclast, right? So he was a mathematician, and they really have their own way of looking at things, right? I don't know if you've ever been close with someone who is very, very mathematical or scientific. A lot of physicists have, and actually he got his PhD in physics, have this quality where they, for instance, he would let us have Big Macs for dinner and let us stay up late and watch The Love Boat and Fantasy Island and let us drink espresso, and really encouraged us to question everything. And he was never one to say, well, that's just the way things are done. That's what's proper. He thought that you need to think things through for yourself and say, well, does it make sense to do it this way? And so what if no one has ever asked this question before or done this way? He was very, very free thinking, which is amazing when you're a kid. He never lost that childlike attitude toward life, really, is what I think it was. And so as a kid, he was a big kid himself, and we were just very, very close.
Mm-hmm.
And he influenced my thinking in that way to just, discover truth on your own terms, and don't distrust the truth within. And I just think that in so many ways, even though I lost him quite young, he was such a shaping force, and still is.
Yeah. Well, and it seems that you developed that strength to also question all these doctors, and as you're going through working to figure out what this undiagnosed disease is, you're just kind of taking each and going, you know what, I'm not going to take what everyone else is saying. I'm going to work at creating what it is that will work for me.
Mhm. Yeah, he sort of taught me to locate authority internally as much as externally. Mm-hmm. And an interesting thing happens when you do that. You locate power internally as well. So you suddenly find, and that was a major turning point in my dealing with this mystery illness, interestingly enough, is when I did take back the authority. I found that in that same moment, I became more powerful, and that it created an invisible shift that I really locate that moment as the moment I started to get well. And I thought of myself as being very internally driven already. I'm a writer. I don't follow the beaten path, and a lot of the book is about that as well, finding your own way and really making an original path in life, but being an outsider because of that in a lot of ways. So I was already toward that end of the spectrum, but I really needed to dive off the cliff to heal. I really needed to dive off the cliff.
Well,
I'm so glad I did.
Oh, yeah. I mean, because people don't realize when something like this happens, what you have to go through and how intense it is. I mean, you talk about how you were diagnosed with some kind of a mold poisoning, and then you're giving up your house, and not only that, but everything that's in it, because everything that's there is possibly contaminated, and then move into a hotel with your boyfriend and your dog. And most people don't understand how difficult that can be.
Well, it's interesting because by the time we found all of this mold hidden behind the walls of the house, I was so desperate for an explanation. I'd been having these neurological symptoms, GI symptoms, mood and concentration and memory symptoms, so not just like neuropathies in my hands and feet, but other cognitive symptoms for so long, that to find mold and discover this whole world of people, not just Suzanne Summers, but other less high-profile people who had similarly struggled with mold, that I almost didn't care about losing my house and belongings at that point. I mean, I had gone down the rabbit hole where I felt like I was losing myself, and I just wanted to feel better again. Now, I wish that mold had been the final answer, but that's partly, too, what made it a good book out of it, is that was just one step. And it looked like that was the answer for a while, and I did give up the house and all the belongings, but lo and behold, even when I was out of the mold, and of course did all the antifungal therapies and quit carbohydrates and all of that, I still wasn't well, and I still wasn't myself. So that was interesting too. I had to keep going and keep searching and keep researching.
And really using that, that skill set that you learned at a very young age in your adult life, and how to figure out what the heck is going on here. And, mold poisoning is a serious thing, and maybe that was a portion that was also part of it. But here you are looking to see what else is going on because that wasn't the whole story.
Well, I was benefiting from that skill set, but to be honest, I was also benefiting enormously from this whole other community of people who were afflicted and were not getting answers from mainstream medicine. So what are they all doing? They're reading and researching as well. Thousands of people, right? So, and thanks to the internet now and Facebook groups, we were literally able to put our heads together. I mean, that's what the internet is great for, is you can collate your knowledge and you can connect with even physicians who are looking for outside answers and functional medical doctors who don't want to just prescribe drugs but get to the root causes of these various illnesses that, guess what? We don't understand the core etiology of any of them, of ALS, Parkinson's, MS, cancer, the whole gamut. We don't have a core understanding of. So I think that there's so much work being done by humankind right now that I'm just waiting for the 100th monkey. It's like everyone is putting so much attention and intention towards solving these illnesses. And I came upon my own path where I started to say, oh, I think this is related to time, to how human beings are experiencing time. I think this is actually a function of quantum physics, believe it or not. And that's why mold was bothering me, because it was cycling time too quickly. It's in a state of decay. So its quantum field is different. And I was already cycling time too quickly myself, so I couldn't bear to be around it. And I actually think that time is going to be the window into unlocking all of these illnesses. Time and quantum physics.
Well, and that's an area that has not been explored when we look at this, and you bring up a very good point. It's something that needs, definitely more attention and investigation to see how this all relates, because you're right. I mean, we were talking before in regards to, different things that are affected by time, past, present, and future.
Right. Well, if we are more than membranes and mitochondria, if we're also light, which I think humanity has always kind of suspected and known, but if we discover this in a very real, scientific, tangible way, that we are light and matter that are spinning into each other constantly, that's the central yin-yang of life, is light and matter, light becoming matter and matter becoming light, but that it takes place at different speeds, right? So Einstein said in 1955, past, present, and future are all here now. The distinction between them is just an illusion. It's a tenacious illusion, but it's an illusion, right? So what does that mean? What does that mean, past, present, and future are all here now? Well, I think it means they're all here, but they're happening at different speeds. The past is here, but it's happening more quickly. And the future is here, but it's happening more slowly. And we, too, can synchronize with the wrong speed of time. What does it mean to cycle time? Well, that's the rate at which our light and matter are spinning into each other. So if we do it too quickly, I think that's Parkinson's. We're cycling time too quickly. We're too electric. If we do it too slowly, I think that's ALS. Because light can't ever really speed up or slow down, right? If light speeds up, time slows down. If light speeds up, time slows down. So when we speed up, time slows down. I think that's what ALS does. Or when light slows down, time speeds up. I think that's what Parkinson's is. So the physics of light are not classical physics. They're quantum physics, right? For light, every place is the same place. It can't move forward in space. It can only move forward in time. But to accelerate, to move forward in time, aka to accelerate, is actually to slow time down. Or to slow down, for light to slow down, is to speed up. And I think that those mechanics, those quantum mechanics, we think are just applicable to particles. But what we're going to be discovering is that they're applicable to ourselves.
Wow. Well, obviously, it takes the daughter of a professor of math at MIT to figure this out.
Well, we don't know. We don't know if this is true, but I want them to look into it because I think it could be a very fruitful avenue of research, right? Right now, these are just ideas. They're just hypotheses. They could be wrong, but let's look at it. But if time is capable of cycling at different speeds, then could cancer be cells that are synced with the wrong time signature? They're healthy cells that are cycling time too quickly because they've synced with the speed of the past. Now, why would they do that? What would cause them to sync with the wrong speed? Well, maybe it's the matter to energy ratio. Maybe there's too much matter and not enough energy. So the DNA senses that, syncs with the wrong time signature, and is simply replicating. Well, we call it too quickly because we're looking at it through the lens of the present. But they're actually cycling time at a quote-unquote healthy rate, but it's just the speed of the past.
Well, and
so
yeah, I mean, I find all that interesting, and I agree with you. We need more research on that.
I think they're going to be figuring things out in a big way. God willing, I pray they do, because if there's any truth to this, then far greater minds than I can look at the cancer cells and design experiments and figure it out. But this is just a line of reasoning that maybe hasn't been explored, but that they could be.
Well, your book, You've Been So Lucky Already, is just beautiful, and I love it, and I can see why it's getting so many accolades.
Thank you.
I absolutely love it, and I'm so glad that we've had this discussion because we've opened up something that I think that people need to investigate more. They need to look into, and your story is one of thousands out there that are going through the same thing, and they need that help.
Yeah, that there's so many people who are falling through the cracks of mainstream medicine, and I started to laugh a minute ago because all of this theorizing about quantum physics is not in the book, right? The book is a narrative that talks about life and different. Actually, the way I describe it is it's all of the funniest, saddest, scariest, most interesting moments of my life in 200 pages. So, but we intentionally didn't go into the health theories in the book because that might have weighed it down a little bit. So I put them, I wrote them up myself and put them on a blog at welcometoheaven.com because I didn't, and my editor wanted the book to be more of a narrative journey and not a scientific, exploration. So we kept the quantum physics for the blog.
Or it could be book 2. We never know.
You never know. But I didn't want your listeners to think that it's talking about the nature of time and how time relates to human illness. It is about the steps that. It's sort of the prequel to that because it shows me, dealing with mold and dealing with these symptoms and sort of embarking on the detective journey, if you will, but it doesn't go into a lot of physics.
Well, that's okay, because they need to go to your blog, welcometoheaven.com, to really dive into that, which I'm sure a lot of people, myself included, will be doing.
If they're interested, that would be the place for that.
That's definitely a good place to go there. And in your book, You've Been So Lucky Already is fabulous. I mean, it's just such, there are parts in it I laughed and parts in it I cried, and it's just such a heartfelt memoir. And thank you so much, not only for taking your time to be here with us, but also for writing this fabulous book. I just love it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Well, thank you so much, Alethea. It's been such a pleasure to spend this time with you. And of course, to talk about your new memoir, You've Been So Lucky Already. If you'd like to connect with Alethea, you can at her website, aletheablack.com. And make sure to be part of her community and learn more about her book there. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I would like to thank everyone for tuning in. You've been listening to Moments with Marianne. And remember, make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary. A recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Moments with Marianne airs every Thursday, Friday, and Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.